Today we're here in Brixton and it's the turn of the Liberal Democrat candidate to become Mayor of London, Mr Brian Paddick. He was a former contestant on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and he believes that criminals should pay for their crimes. Welcome to Street Politics. Brian, are you ready to find your first young person?
I am.
Let's go!
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hang on, look, there's a young person there, look. Excuse me, sir. What's your name?
Nice to meet you.
This is Brian.
Hi.
I'm the London mayoral candidate for the Liberal Democrat. We're wondering if you'd like to go on a bit of speed dating, political speed dating.
Political speed dating.
Yeah. Ask you any questions you want about why he should become mayor of London.
A little busy at the moment.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah? Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
All right,
indeed.
thanks.
Yeah, go on, why not?
Yes.
Go on.
I'm Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Hi Brian, I'm Will.
Hi, Will. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Recently, the fares for public transport have gone up a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's Ken Livingstone wants to reduce them.
Yeah.
What would you do to help out those that are struggling with the costs of public transport?
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to target our reductions on those people who can least afford to travel. So we want to have a discounted fare if you finish your journey by 7:30 in the morning to help people who do low-pay cleaning jobs, for example. People who work part-time, increasingly people work part-time, but they can't get a season ticket. It doesn't make sense to them. So maybe a season ticket for people who only travel 2 to 3 days a week. A 1-hour bus ticket. If you think about it, if you change underground lines, you don't pay twice, but if you change buses, you do. So we're saying you should be able to hop on, hop off for an hour on one fare. So really trying to help out those people who can least afford to do it. The trouble with Boris Johnson is he's been spending his money on things like cable cars across the Thames and this fantastic new bus that he's got with 2 staircases and 3 entrances modelled on his home, you understand? But there's only one of them who's running at the moment and it's cost £11 million. So instead of spending money, wasting money on that sort of rubbish, we want to keep fares as low as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, Ken Livingstone wants to reduce fares by 7%, but you can only do that by spending the money that we need to upgrade the tube and do Crossrail with. If he spends it on cutting fares, there won't be any money left to do the important work to keep the tube running.
2 of the candidates you're up against have done the job before as mayor, but do you think that your experience in the police force would make people more certain that you can provide a safer London for everyone to live in?
You know, what people don't realise this time round is that as well as mayor, they're also voting for the police and crime commissioner. There's been a change in the rules. There's no longer a body of 25 people who hold the police to account. It's just the mayor. Just the mayor decides what the priorities are for the police, what the budget is, and how to hold the police to account. Now, rather than spending all my life sitting around talking about issues, I've actually been doing it. I was a police officer for 30 years, protecting Londoners, and I know the police inside out. And I've really been holding the police to account since I left. I gave evidence at the shooting of Jean-Charles de Menezes for the family. I sued the police because they failed to investigate phone hacking. I have held the police to account more than the other 2 did, and they were mayor.
Yeah.
So, you know, both in terms of knowing how to make London safer, because I've got a track record as a police officer, I've also very vocal in holding the police to account. And I know how to hold them to account because I know how it works.
We've seen in the Metro things like the Goldman Sachs letter,
Sure.
and a lot of influence from the banks, and to ordinary Londoners, the people not in the suits, how are you going to reduce the influence and sort of predatory capitalism of a square mile?
The first thing to say is, you know, like a very small proportion of young people are bad guys, there's a small proportion of bankers who've got us into all this trouble. And the majority of bankers are actually reasonable people. And rather than slagging them off all the time, I think we should try and get them to contribute. So when I say I want to establish new youth clubs, places that young people really want to go to rather than hanging around on the street, I want the banks to pay for them. So rather than just saying, oh, you know, you're terrible, I want to say to them, look, here's a real opportunity for you to win back the support of the public by donating money so that we can help young people out. we have to regulate banks better than we have in the past because they have really let us down. But let's take, let's use it to our advantage. Yes, we have to make sure that we build up new enterprises, small and medium-sized businesses, because that's where the new jobs are going to come from. Let's rebalance the economy so there's more manufacturing. But that doesn't mean running down the banks. That means building these other things with the bank's help.
Well, I think I'm more likely to vote for him than I was before, because he seemed like a nice man, and I agree with some of his policies. So I think there's a good chance I'll make him first choice, but I'm pretty sure he'll be second choice, whatever happens. So yeah.
I don't think I could ever bring myself to vote for a Lib Dem after the tuition fees. So he was a nice enough man, but I thought he dodged around the questions, and no, I don't think I could, I'm afraid.
I think he came across as a really genuine, nice guy and someone that you can trust, so I think it might be time for a change. Yeah, he's got my vote. Bye.